This is a 2005 Scion XA. We're going to change the shafts, and then we're going to put new bearings in the outside. So we'll do one at a time. These are the tools I need. Looks like I need a 10 millimeter, 14 millimeter, and then a 17 millimeter. And that's a 3/4, but a 21 millimeter, that's for the lug nuts right there. And this one here is, I'm using a 3/4 instead of a 19. Okay, so this is the 19 here, and this is a 17 over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bar in here, loosen up the brakes from the rotor. And I'm going to take the 17 millimeter screws out, the bolts out, and pull this whole thing out of the way and tie it up someplace, maybe over here, so maybe from here. And then I'm gonna put it out of the way. Then I'm gonna use this. This is a 30 millimeter for this nut here. I've got it loose, you can see. What I did was had my grandson get in and hold the brake while I broke it loose with a breaker bar right here, and an enforcer pipe which I put on the end, about 4 foot long, and that, because I'm so frail, I need the extra help. So I've got 1/2-inch socket ratchet and 3/8 ratchet Craftsman here, and I have my speed handle extension and some breaker loosens rust instantly. Okay, and so I'm going to take this apart. I'm not going to show a whole lot, just showed you the tools. It's self-explanatory where they fit, and then I'll show you when I get a little bit at a time done. Okay, right now I'm using the 10 millimeter to loosen up the anti-brake sensor, and there's a 3/8, my little spinner partner there. It fell right out with the nut. And next, gonna have to use the 14 millimeter, and I'll just show you. Now I'm gonna have to turn this. Okay, and that's right here. Holding the line on, and also there's a little plastic clip on this side where you have to take it off so you can get this stuff out of the way where it's not going to damage it. It's worth doing it. So that's a 14 millimeter. Take that nut out, and that little bracket that's on the back of the strut will come off. Okay, now that you have your caliper tied up there on your spring someplace out of the way, be careful, it's heavy, you'll smash your finger, and your sensor out of the way so it doesn't get hurt. And take your bolts out, and then work on the next thing. Pulling these bolts out of your strut, and then we're going to take the bottom bolts out of the ball joint. And you're going to take those loose, because I'm not going to hold this stick here. I got that key out, and I got I spun the nut all the way off. That's the best way to do it. Before you hit the side of that wedge, because you'll have a hard time if the threads are gummed up. So clean the thread. So take that nut all the way off first, and then thread it back on a little bit. That way. Hit the side. And it popped right out, so it's ready to come right out. So what we're going to do is take that out, support it, someplace, and then we're going to take the nuts out of this strut, and then take the shaft and run the spindle in it, so we can get at the lower bolt control. Tied up, support it. It's going to drop down out of the way. I'll put a new one in it anyway. It's old. It's old. Put the steering out of the way. Kind of leave it loose because it should slide through that spring, because you're going to turn the other side too. Once you get done doing this one. And I'll put the bearing in it because you can hear it. Pretty rough. Okay, so anyways, I use an extensive wobble quarter to get this nut off. It's got a nylock nut, so I'm going to have to get another nylock. Looks like a 1/2 inch nut, I'm not sure. But about 5 hits on the side of this and it's loose. So what I did was I braced it up against that wing, up against that control arm, and then smacked it a few times and it did drop down loose. Of course, you know, I took the nut all the way off, just put it on by hand so I wouldn't have a problem getting it off. So this should come right off. I'll take it off and be right back. Alright, got the steering off, the knuckle off, and came off pretty good. This seems pretty tight. Yeah. And stabilizer bars are fine. Of course, the back of this dust cover is kind of rotted. I'm going to check and see if I can get some new ones real quick. If it takes a couple days, I might wait and put them on. If not, when I have it off, I'll just wire brush it and give it some paint to slow down the rust. And then I know the bearing is bad, so I got to get that out, put the new one in. So I'll work on that next. Okay, so here's the bearing. I don't know if you can hear that, but let me spin it. Pretty bad. So anyways, a little time delay in there. I'm going to squirt this up really good. Okay, so I can get that net ring out of there. Let that soak in, and I'll work on getting that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have to support this and drive that. Actually, I have a set of tools that's supposed to take these out. Just put this part, this here, the 2 pieces that go on the strut in the vise, and I might be able to work on it. That Harbor Freight tool. I'm not getting any free tools or anything for this, so you know, I'm not. I'm just saying that's where I got it. You do what you want. I ruined the bolt that came with it one time already on a bigger vehicle. I think it was a van, but I got another bolt, and it seems to work pretty good if you just take your time and work with it. Keep cleaning the rust out of it. Go slow. Okay, I oiled this up with some rust nut loosener or whatever you want to call it, whatever. And it seems to be that somebody put this together with some gray silver never see. So I'm hoping it probably wasn't. It's probably they just put a little bit on the shaft. I don't think they did the bearings or anything. But if this has been out before, which maybe not, it'd be a whole lot easier to drive out. Let's see what I have is I have a kit, that front wheel bearing adapter kit. There's the box, and you can see where it's from. And this bolt here I stripped, and this nut is no good. So I have another bolt. I'd like to get a new one, but I don't know where. But I have another one here that I've been using, and it seems to be stronger. And I just keep making sure I put oil on the threads. So I'm going to try that. First I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Now I'm taking the part that holds the wheel on there off, and only way I don't have a press, so the only way I could see doing that would be to break the bearing out and then get that off later. So I did get it. And what you need to do is put a 1-inch socket over the top, right in here, like that. And you can put another socket over the top of it if you need more length. Has a 1/8 over the top of that so you can hold it. And I hammered it with Thor, and it came right out. So that's my press. Part of it in the vise, and then I have a pipe going down to the floor on block, and it's up underneath the knuckle part where the lower ball joint goes, and it held pretty good, so stayed nice and steady. So that's how you do it if you don't have a press, I guess. Just gotta be careful. Okay, we're gonna get the shield out of the way. And it looks to me like these are, okay, these are T30s. Okay, but do yourself a favor here, okay? Let me change this over. Just a second here. Do yourself a favor, these are 10 millimeters, okay? So use the 10 millimeter, don't ruin your T30. Okay, that's always good for body work and things. So they all loosened up, especially if you oil them. Okay, so that's gonna be off, out of the way. Then I got to get the old bearing out of it. Yeah. So again, I had to use Thor here. I mean, I'm taking old bearing out. I don't have to save it or anything. So this is what was in there, left over. And what I did was I put this part of the puller inside, and it fit just right. And I just pounded it, and it just popped right out. So I did squirt it a lot, so it might have been loosened up a little bit for the other side to come right out. So that worked out great. Now I can clean that up. Now the other thing I got to work on now is this spindle part, or axle part. So I'm thinking I'm gonna grind that a little bit and then center punch it and pull it right off. You could see it's got part of the seal for the race on there, stuck on there still. But I think I can get that right out of there, off of there. Okay, so I'll tell you how I did it when I get done. So there is a bevel in there, so if you get your file in there, you can start working that out and then move up to a bigger file, and then you probably could put your, you don't want to damage this, so it's better if you get it out far enough you can grind this and then put the file in there, or a chisel in there, and hit it, and you'll probably open it up enough to get it off easier. So that's what's working for me. I'll let you know how it goes. Wow, I think I said file, but I meant chisel. So you get your chisel in there, you might have to make a point on it, so because this is beveled and this is beveled, and it's enough to get in between there to get that started. So you can work that out, and then I think I'm going to take my die grinder or a grinder and just grind a little slot enough where I can get this in, and then hit it and split it or widen it with that, by doing that. But the smaller chisel is a good start to get it going. So I did get that race off of there. You just have to work it little by little. And when I got it just so far, I put some grind cuts in it this way, like that, inside of it in the race. And then I was able to grab it and just tap it out and around and get it off. I mean, they have tools to do this, but if you don't have a press, you know, all you can get is one of these tools. They're not expensive. You want to do it, get this tool, the 21 piece, and it's called a front wheel bearing adapters. All right, remove and replace front wheel bearing with the steering knuckle and strut assembly still on the vehicle. Well, I've always had the bearing come apart on me. I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but for me, so I figure out a new way. So I have that out, have it all cleaned up, wire brushed. Looks pretty good in there. Have that off. Have the new bearings. Looks like the NSK. Number. There's a number. There's a number on it. There's a number, and this is for a 2005 Scion XA. Okay, and it worked pretty good. Well, here are the parts you need to put the bearing. You need this. This is the smaller one from the kit that I'm using. Yeah, I want to make sure there's pressure on the outside. So this is going to fit good. And keep that on there. So that'd be the outside. Okay, and the inside would be this one because it fits over the bearing. Push in the bearing, to draw the bearing in. It's on the outer race is where you want to grab it, and also it won't be any problem with lining up. So it's a number like 55. There, to get your light. Let me get you straightened out here. So it's a 95512, and that's going to pull the bearing into the knuckle and put pressure on the outside and still be lined up, because this does not hit the inside, and it'll pull it in. Okay, so we're going to put the bearing in there first. All right, so let's do that, and then I'll get back to you. All right, this is how you got to set it up. Okay, you got your 95512 on this side, pushing in the outer race. Nothing touching the inner race. You pull your bearing apart, it'd be no good. So this is going to push it in all the way until it stops, because you have this outer one here, and you got this one pushing it. I put this extra, so that's let me see, that's a 95508. So this is a 95508. Okay, you can't see it, but there's a 08 there. So also you have a washer here, okay, and you have a washer here, and you want to lube these up, okay, like white lube, oil, anything. You want this to slide. You're not going to turn this side. You're going to let it just stationary and hold it with a wrench. Okay, so don't even turn that side. You got this side and you got the threads. You're going to run that in, and it should work pretty good. Worked for me. Okay, that worked out fine. Now, bearings in, nice, smooth running. It's all the way up tight against this plate, this back. Now, I'm going to put this snap ring back in after I clean it up, and then I'm going to get something to go for the inner race, and this I forget what you call it now, but this piece is going to be pulled in the inner race tight, and that'll be it. So I'll get that set up. That worked fine. So all these parts that I have here work good. So it's like a 95508, and this was a 95512. Yeah, 12. And I used this other plate as extra. These other plates here. Yeah, and I used the 08 as an extra plate too. So oil it up good. Probably synthetic oil is said to have a little beads in it. Like it might even work a little bit better than this. Now I did spray and wipe out the inside of this knuckle with some nut breaker, nut breaker, just to clean it, and then I left it wet. So I think that helped. It went right in. I did use a socket with the extension here. This one here. It's mine was inch and an eighth, but you have to come up with your own setup. But it worked out. This is without a press. Okay, with just this tool kit, and it works. I've used it before. I've put them in with the knuckle on the car and off the car, both. So it's worth having. Okay, now we're ready to put this hub on there. Okay, I have a washer in here, oiled up, and oiled up. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that same 95508. It's inner race. So that pushes in on the inner race. And when it gets all the way in, there's a little, like a little lip. You may have to take this back out and flip it over. But you want to start with it to get it lined up straight. Okay, this helps you because it fits inside. Okay, so you're going to do that, and I'm going to put that on there, and then I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I'm all set, ready to go. Make sure that that's lined up in the inner race, and this is going to push in on the inner race. This side's going to hold it. So I'm just going to get a wrench. I'm going to hold this with the socket on this side, and I'm going to turn this with a wrench. And once it starts, I'm going to keep right on going. So we'll see how it works out. So you can't watch because I have to use two hands. Sorry. Okay, I switched over to a long wrench to hold the one side. That's an inch and an eighth. Mine. okay? This, you know, yours might be different. And I switched over here for a 1/2 inch ratchet with I believe mine's a 7/8. This is 7/8. And I'm going to pull it tight. It's tight, so it's all the way in. And, now I can take this nut, take this off. So I'm going to try to do it with one hand here. Oh boy, yeah. Pull that off. There we go. All right. That's coming off. Let me see. Oh, that turns really nice. All right. So that's all tightened in there. So I'll take this off, and the new bearing nice and smooth. Really smooth. Alright, I'll get this out. I'm done with that one, and I'll get the other one done. Clean this up a little bit more, and I guess that shield, I'll clean that shield up and use it, or I'm going to go in and see if I can get get 2 of them in a day or 2. If I can't, you know, I might wait, you know, wait for a week, but if not, I don't really care. It's not all that bad. So that one's done. There you go. That's how it's done. Okay, here's the deal. Don't forget this, okay? There's a crack in here, all right? It needs to pull in tight. What I did was I flipped this around after it was all the way in and it tightened. But this shoulder here tightened up against the spline in here. And I thought it was tight, but for safety's sake, I flipped this around, put it all back together, and tightened it again. And the wrench went almost 3/4, maybe more than 3/4 of an inch, or 3/4 of a turn around. So it did draw it in a little bit more. So be aware of that. You could be leaving it off the shoulder of this, the inner raise off that shoulder. It might not be tight. So be sure you flip this around. This is that same one, 95508, okay? So flip it around so you'll have this part up against, and it'll be tight for sure, okay? Now that you're this far, before you pull the shaft, you want to drain your transmission fluid. If it's automatic, you're going to have to add to it. This is standard. Just going to get some new fluid and put new fluid in it. Probably could use it anyway. So you want to take the plastic covers off so you can get that to drain. Okay? Drain it. When you drain the transmission fluid, you want to look at these seals, make sure they're intact, and you also want to make sure that you get these little aluminum washers that are on these drain plugs. There's one on the bottom, and there's one right here on the fill. And when you fill that, you're just going to fill it until it starts leaking out of that plug. So you know that plug is higher than that shaft, so it's going to be above. So when you pull the shafts, if you don't drain it, you are going to get a mess all over the place. So be sure to drain it and check those seals. Okay, gotta focus the camera. Alright, so what you want to do is match these shafts up before you put the new one. I put a little grease on the end for the seal and for that snap ring to pop in place. So you want to make sure everything's the same. Now, my car has the anti-lock brake ring on it, so you know it's all the same. Lines up good, and splines are the same. And what you want to do is you're going to push that back part in, snap it in place, and then you're going to support it with a string. And I put a string here to support it because you don't want it hanging and pulling out of this part here. And so let's get going, and that'll be it. Okay, new shaft went in, very easy. So now what you want to do after you get that supported is bring the knuckle over and start installing the knuckle with the new bearing on here, and just kind of, you know, you're going to have to torque this ball. So you're going to be using this extension on that to get that up in there. Okay, so let's get that on. We'll get that torqued, and I'll get the torque specs out. I'm ready to put the axle shaft in. So before that, I want to torque this bolt down here for the lower ball joint, and have my torque sheet here, which shows me that lower ball joint 72 foot-pounds, and all the other ones here too, if you need that information. I'm holding it still for you so you can get it, write it down. Okay? Okay, once you've got the axle in and that nut just screwed up in there as far as you can, then you want to check make sure that that sensor is right over almost the center. Well, you're not going to measure it, but the center of this gear here it's not a gear, actually, it's a sensor wheel. Okay? So then you're gonna torque these two top bolts, and the strut bolts are 97 foot-pounds. You want to put a little bit of never sees on the shafts because you don't want the rust in there. Don't overdo it. And then we're going to put the tie rod end on and put a new key in it. After you have these torqued at 97 foot-pounds to a strut bolt, then you want to put the tie rod nut on and torque that at 35 foot-pounds, and then you're going to tighten it a little extra so you can line that hole up right there and put a new cotter key in. I've done it already. You want to cut the caliper loose and set it sort of like this, lean it up against here so you can get the caliper holes on there properly, and the little clip for the sensor. And then you can clip on the sensor clamp on the center wire right here, right there on the side, and then you're gonna snug down the center bolt right there, and then you're gonna put the caliper on next. Okay, you're gonna look over the brakes at this time. You may need new ones. These are fine. And you're gonna look over the rotor. And the rotor looks pretty good. Got a little ridge on here, but it's wearing fine. Just rust, looks like. Now you're gonna put that on, and then you're gonna put the caliper over the top, because remember, you opened this up, so it should slide right on. Okay, make sure the wire's not, make sure the hose is not all knotted. Okay, make sure everything's, you know, the natural way it's gonna go. Okay, so let's do that. Okay. Okay, this is all set. I'm gonna have to torque this caliper mounting bolts on, which is 65 foot-pounds for these bolts. And then what I usually do is I put a screwdriver over here, pinch it, and on the inside, I'll show you if you can still see it, right here, and I'll turn it to knock any rust off that's hitting on both sides at this point. And then I'll blow it all out, and then I'll turn it, and there shouldn't be any scraping. Make sure the shield's away from it on the bottom, especially because it likes to bend there. And then give it a few turns, and nice and smooth. Nice. Okay, this side is all set except for the torquing of the caliper, and this nut here we're going to do after we put the tires on, put it on the ground, and then we're going to torque that, and that's going to be torqued at let me see, looks like axle nuts 159 foot-pounds. Okay, so there's the torque specs again, if you need it. And this is it. Now, the other side, I'm just going to do it. I don't have time to video it. So basically, it's almost the same, except for it's on the opposite side. So, I hope this helped you. It's not the perfect way. I mean, some people have different ways of doing things. That's fine. Don't follow my lead on this. It's just a help to help you know where things go. And this is the Scion XA. Also, don't forget these screws that hold the bolt that holds the brackets on. You have to get them lined up nice. And also the 10mm that holds the sensor. Okay? I hope that helps you. Okay, the caliper's on, it's torqued at 65. The nut here, it still didn't torque. That's like when we put the tires on and let it down, we can torque it a lot better. And tie rod bolt nut is torqued and got a new cutter key in it. The strut bolts are all torqued, and this nut, this little bolt here, actually it's a bolt that holds that bracket and holds the interlock wire and the brake line. Okay, and then make sure you close this clip that holds the the anti-lock wire, just kind of wiggle it around so when you do clamp it down, it's not, there's no tension on it. And then put your bolt in, your 10 millimeter, don't over torque that. I mean, it might be 10-15 pounds, that's it. So anyway, calipers back on, and everything lined up as the new shaft is in. Turns nice and free, no noise. Now when you put this transmission bolt, the drain plug, back in, do not over tighten it. It has a aluminum washer, and also this is an aluminum case. This is a steel nut, so don't over tighten it. And you have the same thing here for the fill plug. Don't over torque it. So I've got that real loose. I'm going to take it out and set it down here in front of me as a reminder to put fluid in it. But I'm going to do the opposite side now, the whole thing I just did, and then we'll take it from there. Don't lose that washer. Okay, you know where your transmission fluid is. You left the bucket here, so you can have a reminder. Now you're gonna get some 80W, 90W gear oil. This is a standard transmission, and this is required. And here's the fill plug. You already have the drain plug back in. The fill plug, you're gonna fill it with the hose until it starts pouring out this hole. And that's the level. So you're gonna put that on and tighten it. It's an aluminum washer. Don't over tighten it. It's also an aluminum housing, and it's a steel nut, so you can strip this transmission out, then you're gonna have a problem. Okay, so all this is done. Shaft's in, brakes are back on, rotors are back on, and there's the other side. That's all set. And it was, I had problems with this shaft. The inner knuckle, inner CV joint was bad, that one there. And this side, the wheel bearing was blown out. So that's why I had a lot of noise on the front, or I couldn't figure out what side it was on, because it was on both sides. Okay, so now what you want to do is, now's the time to, if you have it jacked up in the right spot, you can get the back tires off. You can put a jack under there, lift it a little bit, take the back tires off, and do a rotation now. So rotate your tires, and when you get done with that, you're going to put it down, and you're going to torque these axle nuts, both sides. You see these axle nuts. So let's move on, and then I'll come back in at another time, and we'll finish it up. Okay, so 2005 Scion XA. There's one of the CV joints, and this is the part that is the problem. You probably don't want to throw these out. You might have to return them for a core, but I didn't have to. Both of them. And so here I use a 3/8 socket with a 15/16 socket on the end so I don't over tighten these. The plug and the bottom plug, the drain plug. Now this is also a good time if you need it. As the oil change, there's the filter right there in sight, and that's a whole different subject. So clean up, cut all your ties off that you had holding everything up, and we'll move on to the next part of it. Okay, I have all my tires rotated just for because I needed it. Now the front axle nuts, 159 foot-pounds. I've done this, and now don't forget to peen over that nut right in that groove. Just take a nice wide punch and knock it in there a little bit. That'll keep it from working loose. So both sides, I'm torqued up, and then I'm going to torque all my lug nuts because I had them all off. And then that'll be next. There'll be a test drive, and once I'm done with the test drive, I got a big mess to clean up, and we'll clean the mess up, put everything away, and everything should be fine. So that's the end of this 2005 Scion XA, and hope some of this information helps you. I mean, you can use your own judgment. I mean, there's jack stands that don't forget to use them, or that's what's recommended. I use something else. Okay? And thanks for watching. Enjoy your time riding around in your Scion XA. I do.